The applause fades, the laughter softens, and every face in the room turns toward me. My heart pounds beneath the lace bodice of my gown. Its rhythm sharp and uneven, like it's trying to claw its way out. The microphone trembles in my hand, but my voice, when it comes, is steady. First, I say, smiling faintly, "Thank you all for being here to celebrate love." A wave of cheers and clinking glasses washes over me. My husband, Daniel, flashes his perfect smile from the head table, the one that convinced me once upon a time that safety could exist inside another person. His blue eyes shimmer with warmth and confidence. He thinks he's untouchable. I hold his gaze for a long moment before looking away, breathing through the ache in my chest. The truth sits heavy on my tongue, bitter and electric. I've waited months for this moment. Every second of pretending, every practiced smile, every lie I told to hide the ones they fed me, all of it leads here. I let my fingers brush the folded note in my pocket, not because I need it, but because it reminds me of control. I will not cry tonight. I will not break. But before this speech ends, someone else will. 6 months ago, I was stupid enough to call what Daniel and I had forever. It was raining that night, one of those soft, endless rains that make the whole world smell like memory. I just finished a 12-hour shift at the hospital and texted Daniel that I was on my way home. He replied, "Dinner's ready. Got a surprise for you." I smiled the whole drive back, thinking about the life we were building. I imagined him setting the table, maybe lighting candles, maybe playing that stupid jazz playlist he loved. When I walked in, he wasn't alone. Lily was sitting on the kitchen counter, wine in hand, laughing at something he said. My best friend since college. The woman I trusted enough to call my sister. The sight didn't bother me at first. They'd always gotten along. Daniel could charm anyone, and Lily, well, she was easy to love. Too easy, maybe. "Hey babe," Daniel said, kissing me lightly. "You're just in time." Lily raised her glass toward me. "Your man's got skills. He made dinner and actually didn't burn anything." We laughed, the three of us. It was warm, safe, ordinary. That night I went to bed thinking how lucky I was. The first red flag came a few weeks later, and like all red flags, I painted it white. I found one of Lily's scarves on our couch after she'd stayed the night helping me with wedding plans. It smelled faintly like Daniel's cologne. I remember smiling at the absurdity of the thought that crept into my head. Don't be ridiculous. She probably hugged him goodbye, that's all. But the little things kept coming. The late-night texts she'd hide when I sat beside her. Daniel suddenly working late again. Her lipstick shade. The exact same mauve stain I'd once scrubbed off his shirt collar. I told myself I was imagining things. I loved them both too much to believe otherwise. Then came the night everything changed. It was past midnight when I woke to the faint hum of thunder. Daniel wasn't home. He'd said he had a meeting with a client. I couldn't sleep, so I opened my phone, and that's when I saw the alert. The home security camera had picked up motion in the living room. I opened the footage. First it was nothing. Just the dim light of the kitchen, shadows shifting. Then Daniel walked in. He wasn't alone. Lily followed him. I didn't need to see the rest. I heard her voice, soft, teasing. "She'll never know." I froze, my body going cold from the inside out. My hand shook so badly I nearly dropped the phone. When I looked into the dark screen afterward, my reflection was unrecognizable, pale, wide-eyed, hollow. I didn't confront them. Not right away. The next morning I smiled. I kissed Daniel on the cheek and told him I loved him. I called Lily and asked if she could come dress shopping. I was polite, gentle, everything they expected me to be. Because I wasn't going to scream or beg. I was going to wait. And I was going to destroy them. The days that followed blurred together. A performance of perfection. I let Daniel hold me. I let Lily cry happy tears when I chose my wedding gown. I thanked them both for being my rock. They had no idea they were standing on the edge of a cliff. But every night when I was alone I watched that video. I memorized every second, every laugh, every whisper. It hollowed me out piece by piece until all that was left was purpose. So I started planning. The wedding would go on, same venue, same date, same guest list. The only thing I changed was the video presentation. Daniel thought I was creating a slideshow of our story, childhood photos, engagement pictures, everything that led us here. He even helped pick some clips. I smiled while editing, pretending to listen, knowing the final cut would include one scene he'd never want anyone to see. 2 nights before the wedding, Lily came over. She helped me pack for the honeymoon, laughing about how perfect everything was going to be. At one point she took my hands and said, "You're my sister. You know that, right? I love you." I looked her right in the eye and said, "I love you too." And in a way it was true. Love and hate often share the same heartbeat. When she left, I opened my laptop, inserted the footage and watched it one last time. My finger hovered over save. Then I whispered, "You'll never forget this," and clicked. The morning of the wedding dawned bright and cruelly beautiful. My mother cried as she fastened my veil. My father kissed my forehead, saying, "He's a lucky man. If only he knew." Daniel's message popped up on my phone just before the ceremony. "Can't wait to see you, my love. You're my forever." I stared at the words until they blurred, then typed back, "Forever." When the doors opened and the music began, I walked down the aisle, every eye on me. Daniel's expression was pure adoration, the kind of look that photographs beautifully but means nothing. I smiled back, matching his performance. Our vows were perfect, the kiss convincing. To everyone watching, it was love. To me, it was a transaction, one last lie to seal the truth beneath it. By the time the reception began, I felt weightless, detached, almost calm. The laughter, the music, the clinking of glasses. It all felt like a movie I'd seen too many times before. And then finally came the toast. I stood, the microphone cool and heavy in my hand. The crowd hushed instantly. Daniel reached for my fingers, squeezing them gently. "You nervous, baby?" he murmured. I looked at him, smiling softly. "Not at all." The lights dimmed slightly as the projection screen flickered behind us. "Ready for the slideshow?" "Marriage," I began, my voice sweet but clear, "is about honesty, about trust, about knowing someone's soul and believing what you find there." A few people nodded, smiling. Daniel looked proud. Lily raised her champagne glass in encouragement. I took a breath. "Tonight I want to thank my husband for being honest with me." A ripple of laughter. Daniel chuckled awkwardly, unsure if it was a joke. Lily glanced at him, then at me. I continued, "I made a video for everyone. A little story of how we got here. Of how love reveals truth." The videographer pressed play. The first few clips drew warm smiles. Our first date, the proposal, laughter, dancing. Then came the faint jump in the video, almost imperceptible. The screen darkened. Then the glow of our kitchen lights. 2 silhouettes. A laugh. His voice. Her whisper. "She'll never know." The sound echoed across the ballroom. For a few seconds no one breathed. Daniel's face drained of color. Lily's glass slipped from her hand, shattering on the floor. A woman somewhere gasped. I turned my head slowly, meeting Daniel's eyes. He opened his mouth, but nothing came out. Behind us, the video kept playing, the proof of their betrayal looping on the giant screen for everyone to see. Family, friends, his colleagues, her parents. And I just stood there, smiling faintly, watching the ruin unfold. The room was silent except for the faint hum of the projector. Faces froze mid-smile, champagne flutes hovered in midair. The air itself seemed to tighten around us like a fist. The image on the screen flickered again. Daniel's hand brushing her cheek. Her laughter, breathless, intimate, undeniable. The sound of his voice murmuring words I had once believed were mine alone. Then it stopped. The screen went black. And for a heartbeat nothing happened. Then whispers began to rise, soft at first, swelling like a tide. Chairs scraped the floor. Someone muttered, "Oh my God." Daniel stumbled to his feet, his face ghost pale. "Ava." I didn't let him finish. "Sit down," I said quietly. My voice didn't even tremble. He blinked, dazed, the words hanging uselessly between us. Lily was already crying, mascara streaking her cheeks. "Ava, please, this isn't." "Don't," I cut in. My eyes found hers, and she looked away like a child caught stealing. For a second I felt a kind of cruel pity. She looked so small, so desperate. But then I remembered her whisper, "She'll never know." I straightened. "I wanted to make sure you both knew," I said softly, addressing them both but loud enough for the room to hear. "I know everything. I've known for months." The guests sat frozen. My mother's hand covered her mouth. My father's jaw was clenched so tight I thought he might stand and hit someone. Daniel took a step toward me, shaking his head. Ava, please, you don't understand. It was a mistake. A mistake. My laugh was sharp, brittle. A mistake that lasted for months? A mistake that happened in my house, in our bed. His lips parted, but there was nothing left for him to say. Lily reached for my arm, sobbing. Please don't do this here. I turned on her, the rage finally spilling through the cracks. Where should I do it, Lily? Maybe in my kitchen like you did? Or in my bed while I was working late? Her mouth fell open but no words came out. Daniel tried again, voice trembling. I love you. You have to believe that. I did. My voice broke on the words. I believed everything you ever said to me. That's what makes this so perfect, Daniel. You always told me love was about truth. So I gave you some. Behind me, the screen lit up again. Not the affair, but a photo montage of our wedding day so far, shots the photographer had already uploaded. I hadn't planned that, but it felt poetic. Our fake smiles looping endlessly behind us while the real story bled out in front of everyone. Someone clapped softly, a slow, hesitant sound. It was one of Daniel's co-workers. A murmur followed. Not approval exactly, but awe, disbelief. And I realized they weren't just watching a scandal. They were watching a woman dismantle her own life with precision. Daniel turned to the crowd, desperate. Everyone, please, this is private. I stepped closer, voice calm. You made it public the moment you brought her into our home. He flinched. The silence that followed was merciless. I took off my wedding ring, held it between my fingers, and placed it gently on the table. You can keep it, I said. Maybe give it to her. She's already had everything else. Lily let out a strangled cry. Daniel looked like he might collapse. I could have left right then, walked out into the night and let the world swallow the wreckage behind me. But I stayed just long enough to feel the weight of their humiliation settle into the air like dust. And then I smiled, the same soft, graceful smile I'd worn all day. Thank you all for coming, I said into the microphone. Dinner will be served shortly. Enjoy the show. I turned and walked away as the guests began to whisper again, the noise rising in a confused, dizzy blur of pity and shock. I didn't look back. I didn't have to. The heavy doors closed behind me, muffling the chaos. I stood in the hallway, trembling now that it was over. My breath came shallow, uneven. My legs felt weak, but I didn't fall. Somewhere inside, music started again. The band trying to fill the void with sound. I almost laughed. Humans are funny that way. We can't bear silence after truth. I walked toward the exit, my heels clicking softly on the marble floor. The cool night air hit me as I stepped outside, sharp and real. I hadn't realized how suffocating it had been in there until now. I stood by the edge of the fountain outside the ballroom. The water shimmered in the lights, and for the first time in months I felt clean. Then I heard footsteps. Daniel's voice followed, breathless. Ava, please, just listen. I didn't turn around. Go back inside. I can't, he said, coming closer. I know I messed up. I know I don't deserve forgiveness, but I love you. What I had with her, it didn't mean anything. I almost pitied him. Almost. It meant enough to destroy me, I whispered. He moved closer, desperation bleeding through his voice. Please, I'll fix it. Stop. I finally turned, and the look on his face, the mix of fear, guilt, and longing, almost broke me. Almost. You can't fix this. You killed it. You both did. He reached for me and I stepped back. Don't touch me. He froze, hand half raised. The silence stretched, thick with everything we'd never say again. You know, I said softly, for a long time I thought I'd never survive this. That losing you would ruin me. I took a breath, feeling the weight lift with each word. But standing here right now, I think this is the first time I've actually felt alive. He stared at me, speechless. Inside, I could still hear the faint echo of voices. Guests murmuring, Lily crying. The life I'd built burning quietly behind me. I turned away from him, the wind catching the edge of my veil. Goodbye, Daniel. I walked toward the waiting car. He didn't follow. He just stood there, watching as the door closed and the engine started. The city lights blurred past the window, and somewhere between the ballroom and the open road, I finally let the tears fall. Not for him or for Lily or even for what I'd lost, but for the woman I used to be, the one who believed love meant safety. I drove without a destination, the veil still pinned in my hair, my makeup smudged, my chest aching. When I reached the cliffs overlooking the bay, I stopped. The ocean stretched out dark and endless, the wind cold against my skin. I stepped out and stood there for a long time, letting the sound of the waves drown out everything else. I took off the earrings he'd given me, one by one, and threw them into the sea. They vanished into the dark like stars snuffed out. Then I laughed. Quietly at first, then harder until the sound turned into something else. Relief. Release. Somewhere back in that glittering ballroom, Daniel and Lily were living through the ruins of their own making. Tomorrow the story would spread. Videos would leak. His career would crumble. Her name would turn to poison in every whispered conversation. I didn't need to lift a finger now. The truth would finish what I started. I turned away from the ocean and walked back to the car. Barefoot now, the hem of my gown trailing through the dust. My reflection in the window looked unfamiliar. Not broken, not ruined, just new. For the first time in months, the weight was gone. I whispered to myself, barely audible beneath the wind. Here's to honesty. And as the engine started and the headlights cut through the darkness, I realized that this wasn't the end of something. It was the beginning of me.